Hello, my name is Rachel, and sometimes I like to cook. Now, normally you get all dressed up and nowhere to go Rachel, but today you're getting domestic Rachel. So on the Black Friday sales, I almost never find something that I've been wanting for a long time on sale on Black Friday. But Amazon had the Ninja Foodie, and I don't think it's the newest model, but it was on sale for $125. This has been sitting in my wish list for like a year. It hasn't dropped below $170. So when I saw that, I didn't even hesitate. I just bought it. Now, I had an air fryer and a crock pot, and I use both all the time, and especially the air fryer. I absolutely love air frying. And this does both. This replaces my crock pot and the air fryer, as well as does pressure cooking, and I've always wanted a pressure cooker. So this is all of it in one, and my air fryer was getting kind of like the nonstick coating was beginning to stick, and no matter how much I scrubbed, I couldn't get it clean. And my crock pot, for quite a while now, it's had a small crack in the bottom, but that crack had grown to almost the entire thing, and it was beginning to come through on the other side, so at any moment it was just going to split in half. So both of those appliances needed replaced. So I was so excited to get a deal on this. And so far I've only used it for some quick air frying. But today I thought I would bring you along on my first try of actually cooking a meal from their recipe book. And we're going to attempt to make chicken pot pie. And I've already portioned out and prepared all my ingredients so that this will go a little bit faster. Bring you over here. But you can see I've portioned out all of my ingredients, and it calls for a frozen pie crust, but pie crust is easy to make, so I just whipped up some pie crusts. And I'll be rolling that out while I'm waiting on some other steps to happen. So the first thing we have to do is we have to preheat, because we're going to start, this also sautés, which is interesting. Sauté requires no lid, and then it comes with the pressure cooker lid, and then of course the air fry lid is attached. But we're starting with sauté, so we're starting without a lid. And first thing we have to do is preheat it for 5 minutes. And to preheat, just turn it on. We're doing sear saute, so we hit the sear saute button. We're supposed to sear saute on medium high. Oops. Medium high. That's the time button. And 5 minutes. Oh, I forgot. There is no actual timer on saute, so I just have to pay attention to the time myself. But I have it on medium high. I'll hit start, and it'll start heating up, and I'll bring you guys back in 5 minutes. Okay, so it's been 5 minutes. I can feel the heat coming off of this. And the first thing we're going to do is, this is a half a stick of butter. So we're going to add the half a stick of butter to the heated pot. Hear that sizzling, I'm sure. And remember, never use metal utensils in a non-stick type surface like this. I was watching, because, I knew I was buying this, so of course I had to watch a ton of, videos of people cooking in it. And this one guy took this big metal spoon and just went right into it, and I was like, no! So always have your non-stick safe utensils for these things. That butter is melting fast. So now that the butter is melted, my next step is to add my onion, carrots, and garlic. So this is, in this container I have half of a large onion diced, and it called for 2 cloves of garlic minced. My cloves were small, so I did 3 cloves of garlic, and I didn't have a mincer, so I just chopped them. And then it calls for 1 large carrot peeled and diced, but I had baby carrots, so I just diced a whole bunch of baby carrots into what I thought 1 large carrot would equal. And then we just saute these until they are soft. That's at about 3 minutes. So I think my onions and carrots are ready. I've turned off the sear setting because next we're going to have to go to the pressure cooking. But next we add the chicken, and this is 2 pounds of chicken tenderloin, but they call for breast, but I just use tenderloin, cut into 1-inch chunks. And this is 1 cup of chicken broth. And then we add the pressure lid. And the way we do that is there are these little marks here, and then there's a corresponding one about here on the pot. So you match up those 2 little arrows, and then you twist until it locks. And then we have to make sure that back here, see if you can see this, back here on the lid is this little gauge. It has vent and seal, and you want to make sure it's over on the seal side. So now we're going to select pressure, temperature on high, and time 5 minutes. Now this will actually take closer to 10 minutes because it takes 5 minutes for the pressure to build. So we hit start. And this is the part where the pressure builds, and I'll bring you guys back when we're at the end of the pressure cook cycle. And I'm going to go roll out my pie crust while this is doing its thing. So we've come to the end of the pressure cook cycle, and some recipes call for a natural release, which actually takes about 20 minutes. But this recipe calls for a quick release. And for a quick release, what you do, and like seeing the steam escape scares me in all the videos, so I'm going to use these tongs to do it. But you would move the valve from the seal position to the vent position. There we go. Okay, so there's this little gauge here that when it's up to pressure, it pops up, and then when all the steam is released, the pressure is gone, it drops back down. And in the booklet, it says your red gauge, but mine's silver, so I don't know why in the booklet it constantly refers to it as the red gauge. But now that all of our steam's released, we can open it. So we twist it back. And always open away from yourself because a lot of steam might come out of here. Next, we're putting it back on to sear saute, medium high. And I just wanted to show you this one does pressure cook, steaming, slow cook yogurt, sear saute, air crisp, bake, roast, broil, and dehydrate. Apparently not all of them have dehydrate, and also some of the newer models have added an extra feature of sous vide. I forgot to hit start on the sear saute, but I just got it. We have it now set medium high sear saute, and I've hit start. So next we add the remaining ingredients, and that is 1/2 cup of frozen peas, although this is more like 3/4 of a cup, but you can't have too many peas. 1 stick of celery diced. This is my seasoning mix. I didn't have, I was only going to go to one grocery store, and I go to Lidl, and they don't necessarily always have, everything. So I was unable to get, it calls for fresh thyme and fresh parsley. I was unable to get fresh thyme and fresh parsley. So this is dried parsley and then some Italian seasoning mix, which has the thyme in it, but a bunch of other stuff as well. But I don't think that'll hurt anything. There's also salt and pepper in here. If anyone's interested in the actual recipe, I'll put a picture of it at the very end of the video that you can just pause the video and copy. And then there's a 1/4 cup of flour for thickening. And a 1/2 cup of heavy whipping cream. Let's stir all this together. And I cook all this till the sauce thickens. So I think my sauce is thick enough. It said 3 minutes. I actually cooked it down for about 6 minutes. I've turned off the sear saute, but it's still violently boiling. I'm sure you can hear that. I'm going to wait until it stops bubbling like this, and then we're going to add the pie crust. Okay, so after I turned off the sear saute, that took like another 4 to 5 minutes of stirring it to get it to stop boiling violently. But now that it has, we're going to add the pie crust. And I've rolled my dough out to roughly a 10-inch pie crust, because this is a 10-inch pan. And let's see, it looks so big though. Let's see how this works. We're supposed to lay this evenly over top. And it said you can fold over the edges of the crust if it's too big. And I definitely have a little bit too much pie crust going on there. So there's going to be thick edges. So not the prettiest thing I could have done. But next time I'll know to maybe cut it a little smaller and get it over here a lot quicker. Get it in there a lot quicker, because the heat makes the butter and the crust begin to melt and it starts falling apart real quick. So now I just cut a slit in the center for steam to escape when we bake it. I made a mess all over it. I know I should really wait until I'm done with everything to start cleaning, but you know, when you get that brand new appliance, you just want to keep it clean. In like 6 months, it'll be a disaster all the time and I won't care. All right. So our next step is we close the crisping lid. This is the air fry and bake lid, and it's permanently attached. And we're going to choose broil, so we're going to broil this. And it doesn't say at what temperature, so I'm just going to assume we can broil it at the temperature that it shows up on. And we're going to do it for 10 minutes. And then we start. I'll bring you back when that part of the cycle is done. So the broil cycle has completed. Let's see what we look like in here. It looks good. It looks like the crust is a nice golden brown. I guess you could have also, or I could have also, brushed it with some egg white or some milk to get a shiny crust, but that isn't super important to me. And then the next thing I have to do is I have to actually take this out of here and sit it on a heat-safe surface. I'm hoping the stovetop is a heat-safe surface. That's a joke. And then we have to let it rest for 15 minutes before we can try it. So I've let it rest for the suggested 10 to 15 minutes, probably closer to the 15 minutes. And I've served myself up some, so now it's time for the taste test. Mmm. That was really good. Could maybe use a little bit more seasoning, or maybe if I'd had the fresh seasoning, that would have been a little bit better. I kind of feel like I should have maybe tossed some paprika in here. That would have been good. But it's still really tasty. And if you have the time, I strongly suggest making your own pie crust. Homemade pie crust is always so much better than the store-bought ones. And real simple, like mine is just butter, flour, and then this mixture of a little bit of egg, water, and vinegar. And that's all it is to it. And it's so buttery and flaky. So good. Okay, so since this was technically a first impressions review sort of thing, let me give those to you real quick. So far in the few days that I've had this, I guess I've only had it for about 4 days now, it's been great. The air fryer works just as well as my standalone air fryer. This is the first actual like meal, one-pot meal I've made with it, and it was easy and it tastes great. Now, I'm not sure about quick because there were a lot of steps in there, a lot of prep work, but still I'm really happy with it. Everything seems to be working perfectly. I love that I can saute and pressure cook and bake and slow cook. Actually, the next recipe I'm going to try is chocolate chip cookie, because you can bake in here too, like desserts and stuff, so I'm excited for that. And so yeah, I am so far a fan of the Ninja Foodie, and I like the fact that I no longer have 2 appliances on my counter. So it cleared up some counter space where my crock pot used to sit, and this doesn't take up too much more real estate than my standalone air fryer did, so I think it's perfect. I love it, and I guess I can safely throw away the packaging now. But thank you guys so much for joining me for cooking my first meal in my Ninja Foodie. And soon we'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming of getting all dressed up and not going anywhere, and lots of clothing hauls coming, because the Black Friday sales didn't just get me with this. They got me with all sorts of stuff. But I hope everyone is just having a wonderful day and is just staying happy, healthy, and safe in this incredibly crazy world we are living in. And I will talk to you all soon. Bye-bye!